Time now for today's Possible Talk and to hear from a young woman who we think you'll be hearing more of in the future. Judy Liu is a student at UMass Amherst, the child of immigrants from Vietnam and the first of her family to attend college. She's learning what is possible in her life with the help of Project Onramp. Project Onramp is a joint venture of the leading life sciences organizations in Massachusetts, including MassBio. It provides 50 students from lower-income backgrounds with well-paid internships and a stepping stone to a rewarding career in life sciences. More on Project Onramp later. But first, let's hear Judys story.
Two years ago, if someone had told me that I would spend 2 summers working in the life sciences industry, I would have been very confused because at that time, I didn't even know that the life sciences industry even existed at all. But now, after actually working in that industry for a while, I can't imagine being anywhere else. My name is Judy Liu, and I am a rising senior at UMass Amherst studying psychology and neuroscience. I am also a first-generation college student from a low-income family, so my parents never went to college. My dad worked at an Asian supermarket before the pandemic, and my mom has worked at multiple different newspaper companies in the mailroom. My parents immigrated to the US from Vietnam in 1985, looking for a place to make their what-ifs become a reality. But despite having lived in the US for about 35 years now, my parents speak and understand very little English. So we usually have some pretty good laughs in the house whenever my parents would try to say something in English, but their pronunciation is completely off. So the other day, my mom was talking about Facebook, but instead of Facebook, she said Freebook. But I guess it kind of evens out because I speak what is known as broken Cantonese, which basically means that while I can speak the language, there are just some things that are impossible for me to translate from English to Cantonese. Growing up, I went to school in the Quincy public school system. So I went to Quincy High School, which is a fairly large high school. There were about 300 kids in my grade, and I would say that I had a pretty average high school experience. I was part of different clubs, I went to sports games and homecoming and prom, and I even got to graduate with 2 of my cousins who are the same age as me, so that was pretty cool. But during high school, I really liked science. I enjoyed biology the most, and I thought that I would be either a microbiology or general biology major when I went to college, but then I took AP Psychology during my senior year of high school and learned about neuroscience. I was immediately intrigued by this field and knew that I wanted to study it and learn everything that I could about the brain. So when I finally entered college in September 2017, I was pre-med and really wanted to be a neurosurgeon, but I learned about the requirements to get into medical school, and that consisted of being either EMT or CNA certified, as well as shadowing a doctor, and I was daunted, not by the large number of patient care hours that are required to get into medical school, but more by the fact that I would have to spend multiple summers working on these patient care hours. And so I began looking into other degrees. I learned about the PhD degree, the MD PhD program, and conducting my own research. So at the time, I was part of an organization at UMass Amherst that really emphasized getting research lab experience. So I thought, hey, why not? So summer before my sophomore year of college, I worked in a research lab for the very first time. It was a developmental psychology lab, so definitely the last topic that I thought of when I thought of research, but it was seriously so much fun, and the people who were there truly inspired me and made me want to become a better scientist. So a large part of my undergrad career has been figuring out the MD versus the PhD. I really enjoyed research, but I didn't want to let go of wanting to go to medical school, so I was looking at all these different degrees and even looked into other neuroscience-related fields. And at one point, I even thought about becoming a professor because I wanted to conduct my own research, but the only way that I thought I could do that was by becoming a professor and working in academia. So spring semester, during my sophomore year, I was looking for summer opportunities. I have been part of this program called Bottom Line for a while now, and they helped me apply to college when I was a senior in high school and have supported me in my college career ever since. So one day, I remember seeing an email from my Bottom Line advisor about paid internships in the life sciences through a program called Project Onramp. So the words life sciences immediately reeled me in, and I filled out the interest form. And now that I'm thinking about it, at that time, I truly had no idea what Project Onramp would have in store for me. So flash forward a few months later to March 2019. Through Project Onramp, I landed an internship at Biogen as a research and development learning intern. I was so excited about it because Biogen is a company that is focused in neuroscience, and it was my very first internship. So here's a side story. Telling my parents that I got an internship at Biogen was super fun because, like me, they had no idea what the life sciences industry was. But now, because they have a daughter who is working in that industry, whenever they see the word bio in a Chinese newspaper, they ask me about it. So in a weird way, they're getting exposure to the life sciences industry as well. So back to my internship. My internship was through the Human Resources Department at Biogen, which meant that I wasn't working directly with science, but I was still able to learn so much and gain a lot of oral and written communication skills, as well as project management skills that I'm still using today. So I also got to see firsthand just how many different departments there are in a company. And I learned about roles that I didn't even know existed in clinical development, regulatory affairs, quality control, manufacturing, and the list goes on. I also learned about how every single department and function within a company have their own unique way of contributing to the company's overall mission of serving their patients, even if their employees aren't standing directly at a lab bench working on the company's therapies. My team was in charge of assigning the correct training to employees in R&D, and this training is necessary for those employees to be able to do their jobs at Biogen and learn about important company policies. So there were about 8 of us in Project Onramp who were interning at Biogen for the summer, and so I got a chance to know them, and we'd have lunch together pretty frequently. It made me feel like I wasn't totally alone in trying to navigate an internship at a large company. So my phenomenal experience last summer is what drove me to apply for an internship through Project Onramp again this summer. And so this summer, I have been grateful to have been invited back to Biogen, but I'm working in a different role. So I am working as an intern in the community lab this summer, helping out with their virtual summer program for high school students. This program is called Biotech in Action, and basically the students who are in this program have an opportunity to learn about science and about the biotech industry. Biogen is partnered with Lemelson MIT for this program as well, so the students are meeting employees from Biogen as well as inventors from Lemelson MIT. And there are 5 sessions to this program, so every single week we have a completely new group of students. In terms of my role in this program, I am an instructor, so I get the absolute honor of teaching science to a group of 10 students every single week. And I hope to help spark an interest in science with the students that I'm teaching, but it hasn't been easy. I remember the very first group of students I had. It was the first week, and all of the instructors were navigating this new environment and figuring out how to engage students virtually as we went along. So with my very first group, getting them to talk to me and to talk to each other was like pulling teeth. And by Wednesday of the first week, I was just ready to give up, but I decided to give it another go and set up a game of Scribble.io with my students as a way to get them talking. So this talk is not sponsored by Scribble.io, by the way, but for those of you who don't know, Scribble.io is an online version of Pictionary, and it has taken over a lot of our lives as a form of entertainment during this pandemic. So after that one game of Scribble.io, my students were only a little bit more talkative, but at that point, I was just like, you know what, I'm ready to work with whatever they give me. So on Friday, it was my last day with this particular group of students. And so I remember saying my final remarks in the afternoon, and after that, I told my students that they were free to go. But to my surprise, no one left the Zoom call. And my first initial reaction was, did my Wi-Fi go out? Did I freeze so no one heard me? So I repeated myself again, you guys are free to go. And one student, out of the blue, unmuted their mic and asked, can we play one last game of Scribble.io? And it was at this moment when I realized that I did something to make these students want to stick around with me and with each other, and I am capable of doing this again. So my current internship is teaching me how to open up and be more personal with the students that I teach in order to form a better connection with them. This is extremely important to me because in the future, I plan to mentor younger students and I want to share all of the knowledge that I have gained in my life with them. So usually at the end of the week, I like to give my school email to the students that I've taught, and I tell them like, hey, you guys are free to send me any news or updates or any questions that you might have. And usually no one ever takes me up on this offer, but recently I got not one, but 2 emails from my students asking me for college advice. And usually when I think of someone who is able to make an impact on those younger than them, I think of someone who is old and wise and has a lot of experience in the field that they're in. So it's crazy to think that I'm making this impact now at this point in my life. And it's even crazier to think about how only a year ago is when I got exposure to the biotech and life sciences industry for the very first time. And now I'm in this position where I get to teach other people a little bit about what the biotech industry is like. And I am so lucky to have this opportunity to be able to share with my students things that I wish I knew when I was a high school student interested in science. So one of the most important things that I've learned from being in the life sciences industry is that career paths aren't linear. Almost everyone I met with at Biogen had a variety of experiences, and some of these experiences were completely different from each other, but it got them to where they are today, and it made them the person that they are today. So this made me feel more comfortable about my own career journey, and I learned to appreciate the variety of experiences that I have that don't necessarily correlate with one another. In terms of what's next for me, I plan to first survive my senior year of undergrad and then graduate in the spring. But after graduation, I want to get a full-time position in the biotech field, and I want to continue networking with professionals who are in the life sciences industry and learn about their career paths and get advice from them. And I just want more experience in the field in general to figure out what I really want to do. But eventually, I want to be able to go off to graduate school and get my doctorate degree in a neuroscience-related field. So lastly, I wanted to say that I see the life sciences industry as a place where what-ifs can become a reality. No matter what job position I have in the future, I want to be able to make a difference, and the life sciences industry is the place where I will do that. Thank you.